push through it at work. Push through it here.
So this was the MCM London Comic-con at the XL Centre in 2022. This was from the 27th to 29th of May. For me, I was there because I live in Manchester, so I travelled up and got to the custom house. This was on the Thursday, so that'd be the 26th, and I was there for the 27th and the 28th, so that would be the Friday and the Saturday, and then I travelled back the following day. And this is my experience. I don't really have that many bad things to say about this year's Comic Con. There weren't as many guests, main guests that had seen at Comic Cons that they'd had previous at the XL, but they were good guests. I don't think there was. I don't think there's much you can kind of complain about or have issue. I didn't actually have any issues with any of this. I'd say the only minor issue that I'd have, and it's maybe just a little bit of nitpicking, is tickets. Now, for anyone who got their this year's tickets to the May one, they will know that there were two ways you could get them. One was you could have them delivered to your address, or you could just have them downloaded on your mobile. The only problem is that this time you had to have a ticket activation, which is basically when MCM are ready, they'll give you instructions how to activate your ticket, so it actually works, which is new for me. But the only thing was this. It took ages for them to actually announce when it was going to happen, and when they announced that it was going to happen, I believe it was on the 15th of May. It was a little bit late. It ended up being, I think, the 17th or the 18th, but it finally came through, and it was actually fairly straightforward. You just read the instructions, and normally you're good to go. Now, for anyone who hasn't been to London Comic Con or the Excel Centre, people who have been before will know that the Excel is huge. So Comic Cons will normally be very huge crowds going in, particularly if you haven't had the priority passes. It can normally take hours, depending on how busy the queues are. For myself, I'd got the priority passes for Friday and Saturday, so it was just a case of, for me, it took, I'd say, perhaps 20 minutes to get in, and then normally what they'll do is they'll check to make sure that you're not carrying anything that you shouldn't, and then you're good. And then you're good to go. If you have the priority pass, once they've searched normally you can just go straight through. You don't have to collect your passes or anything, or wait in the queues. You just go straight through. So that's what happened with myself. To anyone who does buy the priority pass at Comic Con and it's at the XL, the best advice I can give you is normally the panels and the floors will not open until, I'd say, 10, sometimes even 11. So if you get in before then, the best thing you can do is normally go to one of the Costa Coffee, one of the food shops around there, food courts, and normally get yourself something to eat, um, something to drink, sit down, relax for a little bit, and then just wait until the floor's open. And normally you're good because even though the panels aren't open, the food courts and other places are. So yeah, that's the best advice I can give to anyone, any newcomers who want to go to these Comic Cons. So the guests for this year included Elite Wrestling. Now that isn't to get confused with All Elite Wrestling, which is completely different. Um, there was the voice cast from My Hero Academia. There was a voice cast from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and there was many more. The only cancellation, there was one of the voice actresses from My Hero Academia, and there was Nolan North, which was disappointing because I'm a big fan of Nolan North, but yeah, for whatever reason he couldn't come. But those are the only two that were cancelled. So the panels, the panels included the importance of mental health. There was also with the importance of mental health, it delved into representation in comic books of mental health, how that's portrayed and whatnot, and it, it was a very interesting panel. I recommend it to people. And for anyone in the LGBT community, there was the LGBT representation, and it featured authors like anyone who's familiar with J.L. Ward, Francesca May, Joe Glass, who was actually at October Comic-Con in 2021. So anyone who's a fan, he was at this one as well. There was also the author Josh Winning. So I watched that. That was an interesting panel as well. There was also a panel with two of the voice actors from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was really cool. For me, highlights as far as the con itself it was meeting one of the guests, Dante Basco. Now, most people probably know from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Me, I remember him from the 1991 film Hook, in which he played Rufio. So, getting to that was the main thing, like getting to kind of meet him. That was what I was really looking forward to. So, I ended up getting a picture with Dante Basco. Also ended up getting a autograph and a video with him. So that was really cool. And normally, anyone who's been to cons before will know that normally you're supposed to, if you get an autograph, normally you'll perhaps have a minute to speak, and then you normally you have to like move on. But there are guests that will actually spend the time to talk to you, and Dante Basco was one of those who's very chilled, very cool. He was talking about just he was just talking about Hook, and he was good enough to do the video as well. So yeah, there was quite a nostalgic feel getting to meet him. That was really cool. Also, any fans of Doctor Who or EastEnders. um, I also got to meet Tracy Oban. This and honestly, she was really cool. I remember from when she used to be in Lenny Henry's show. She played his wife. One of Lenny Henry's characters was this man who was always boasting about his achievements, and she'd play his wife, who would bring his kids along and embarrass him. So she was in that. She was in EastEnders, where she killed Dirty Dan. Spoilers. Um, she was in Toast of London with Matt Berry, and obviously she was in Doctor Who. I really, I really enjoyed talking with her. She was really cool, and the great thing about her was she wasn't given one-word answers, which some guests will do. Um, and she was actually having a proper conversation about some of the shows, and just really made you feel comfortable talking to her. And yeah, like I said, really enjoyed meeting her. She still looks good for her age, you know. I mean, she looks pretty much like she did 10 years ago. So yeah, no, she was really cool. Really, really enjoyed that experience. I think for me, aside from the guests, what I really enjoyed about this Comic Con was the cosplayers, and I started cosplaying last year in October. I went as Gambit, and it's just so cool getting to talk to people, get pictures with people, and yeah, I think that interaction and that community, it's just it uplifts you and it makes you feel happy, to be included in that. And there's certain people as well that were at the last year's Comic Con who actually saw this one. So that was really good. Getting to take pictures with them and then take pictures with me. It's it's a very enjoyable experience, and the best thing about Comic Con and the cosplay community is that you don't have to be in a particular group of people, and yeah, it's one of those where you just talk about comic books, cosplays, and you feel included, and it's such a uplifting feeling, and yes, it is a very enjoyable experience, and there weren't many guests at this year's Comic Con that wanted to see, apart from Dante Basco and Tracy Oberman, and yeah, for me, the cosplayers and the people there really made that. It was a very good atmosphere, and I recommend anyone who's not been to any of these Comic Cons. I recommend to try, even if it's just the once, because more than likely you will have a positive experience over there, and it's something to behold. So all in all, I really enjoyed um, May MCM London Comic Con. Yeah, it was a good gig.